Hey, Nope Coach Fam Bam. Welcome to episode 61. I'm your host, Suzanne Kohlberg, and today's topic, hacks that don't make me feel like shit. And this is a shout out to my friend Jess. If you're listening to this one's for you. Jess and I are in a group together and we were talking about journaling, and she mentioned a hack that I also use. And what I loved about it, it's a hack that doesn't make me feel like shit. So often when I hear the term hack or be more productive or hard work or hustle, it's all about cramming more in. I don't want to cram more in. My life is full enough. Thank you very much. And so I'm reclaiming the word hack. And today I want to talk about a few hacks that I use that don't make me feel like shit. So the first one is I'm a big advocate for journaling. But journaling, I often don't feel like doing it at the time. I like having journaled, but I don't like sitting down to journaling. So one of my hacks is I always start every day with the date. And some days, if you look on my journal, all I have written is the date. But often, once I uncap the pen, or I now use a Remarkable, so it's like an electronic pencil. But once I've sat down, turned on my device, or you've opened your journal and you've written the date, more often than not, I keep going. I started one of those sentence a day journals, but even that I was never consistent with. So my hack for journaling is commit to writing the date and then see how you go. And the other thing when you write the date is when you come across it later, you dig out old journals or you come across old entries, then you can track it back to where you were, what you have going on, what was happening at that time. It really is valuable to date everything. The other hack is to say, like at the top of the page, day 1, day 2, day 3, to track how many days in a row that you journal, not as a tool to beat yourself up, not as a tool to belittle yourself for, how you can't be consistent, but to get a streak. So my journaling streak for this year, 2023, I just broke last week. I'm a little bummed. It was 53 days, 53 days in a row. There's a date at the top of the page, day 1, day 2, day 3. And then it was my kid's birthday weekend and I dropped the ball. And in the past, it would have been like, that's it, beat myself up, berate myself, take a month or 2 to get back on board. But now I'm like, 53, I can beat that. It's a streak. It's a hack to compete against myself because we're not competing against anybody else. When I was young, there was Little Athletics. I never did it personally, but I always admired it here in Australia because they measure how fast you run, how far you jump, how high you jump. But then they measure it against yourself. You're only competing against you. And I think so often we compete against others, which really isn't all that helpful or motivating. For some, it might be. For me, it just tends to make me feel more shit about myself. Hence, I said hacks that don't make you feel like shit. And 2, if we don't compete against others, we compete against where we want to be. Like, I want to be this weight, or I want to be earning this much money, or I want to have this many clients. And then in the gap between where we are now and where we want to be, we're always never enough. But if you compare backwards to where you were, like if you're launching a program and you've run it before and you're like, I wanted 20 people, but I got 10, then aiming for 10 or beating 10, like, so you're going against yourself, not, I've fallen short of 20, I've fallen short of 20, because we're always in the space of falling short. So for me, income tracking was always a challenge because writing down those $0 on the $0 days, somehow it messed with my brain, kind of like standing on the scales when I weighed myself, messed with my brain. And then the month would start over and you'd be back at 0 again. So a hack that I have for that is, instead of looking at your monthly goal and how far you are away from it, if you celebrate, acknowledge every dollar that comes in, there's a whole different energy and a whole different feeling to it, from lack of I'm not yet where I want to be to abundance of I have all this and more. For me, for many years, I always felt like I couldn't acknowledge or celebrate where I was because then I would lose all the proviso and gumption to keep going. But if you're driving down the highway, like, going full throttle, if you take your foot off the accelerator, you may slow down and glide, but you don't stop. You only stop if you slam on the brakes. So for many things, when you look at them, if you think, oh, unless I do it exactly this way and I'm hustle and I'm hell for leather, I'm doing all these things, I'm not really doing. What if you were just simply taking your foot off the accelerator or the gas, depending on which country and how you refer to it, and you were just gliding? So hacks that don't make you feel like shit. First one, for whatever journaling or any written things, always put the date. And then if it's something you're trying to do daily, day 1, day 2, day 3, see what streak you get to. And when it breaks, try and match or exceed your personal streak. If it's income tracking or something like that, or numbers of people in your program, enrollments, look at where you are and where you were last time, rather than comparing against the goal and where you want to be. Because the other thing we tend to do with that is always push the goalposts back. That may end up being another podcast. And another hack, if there's something that you want to try and you don't really know where to start, so it is useful to ask people for help. Choose your audience in terms of who you ask, and I'd limit it to no more than 3, then make your decision and go. There's this lady, Olivia, I can't remember her surname. She's a coach for coaches. She says, gag and go. And I love that saying so much, because recently a number of people have asked me about starting a podcast, because I'm now a seasoned podcaster. Which platform do I use? How do I record? All this sort of thing. And I use Libsyn, Libsyn. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I found them fabulous. I've used them for over 6 months, haven't had an issue. And the number of people, when I've said I use Libsyn, have said, oh, my friend said that they're using Buzzsprout, or they're using Spotify, or they're using, insert name of thing here. Don't get caught in the weeds of researching and telling yourself that you're making progress when really you're just kind of doing busy work. So my final hacks that don't make you feel like shit, decide and go. Because once you've got a few episodes under your belt or a few things done, you can be like, actually, I don't like this platform. I'm going to want to change. But instead of getting caught in the analysis paralysis of forever researching and not actually getting anything out there, if whatever you're deciding to do, I have another client who's wanting to write a blog, and she's like, should I do it on my own website? Should I get WordPress? Should I get Squarespace? Or should I go through someone else? Should I do Medium? Should I do Substack? Don't get caught in the analysis paralysis of what is the best way. Yes, ask for advice, but limit yourself to the number of people you ask, and then make a decision and go. Because when you are already podcasting or blogging or whatever it is that you're doing, then you can tweak and adjust. But if you never get going, then you've got nothing. You've got no traction. So my final hack for today, hacks that don't make you feel like shit, decide and go, because you're not Moses carving this in stone. This isn't set forevermore and you're stuck here. You can tweak, you can adjust. There's never anything lost or wasted. So thank you for tuning in. If you're not yet on my newsletter list, head over to my website, suzannekohlberg.com, click on newsletter. My emails are fun. I send them about once a week. There's updates, there's prizes, there's special offers. And there's not just here's my podcast or here's whatever, because you can just listen to that and subscribe yourself. But I really encourage you, get on my list, be in the room where it happens. Yes, a Hamilton reference for my Hamilton fans. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.